Hi, welcome back to the Xplore YouTube channel. So this is the second part for the array lists video with respect to Java. Now, in this video, we are going to basically go over how we can kind of declare an array list in a program, in a Java program, and some of its operations, right? Some of its useful operations to get you started, right, with array lists. Now, how to declare array lists? Well, the very basic syntax for this looks something like this. So you simply write array list. I will rewrite the L here. So yeah, array list. And then let's say I want to have string values inside of it. So I'm just going to write string. Then the name of the array list will be followed here. So my name, let's say, is AL. The name of the array list is AL. Then you follow this up with new, followed by array list. And then probably you will be having the type here, string, and then a couple of brackets itself. This is how you declare an array list. Yeah, this is how you declare an array list, which is in this case the name of the array list is AL itself, right? AL. This name could be XYZ or anything else according to what you want to declare, right? So I hope this is going to give you a very basic overview of how we can declare an array list. Now I'm going to write this in a program definitely, but before even going into that, let's look at a few of the operations, right? So what if I want to add an element to an array list? Well, it's very simple. I can simply use the add method. Let's say I want to add a value, let's say A, right? So it's going to be added successfully. It's not a problem at all. And now let's say I want to add an element at a specific index. Then for that, I can use the method add, which takes in index and the value. So in this case, the index could be, let's say I want to add an element at the third index, and the value could be, let's say, B, right? And then so on, this can continue. Now, what if the array list looks something like this? A, B, and then C, right? Now I want to say that, hey, this C value, I want to change it to Z, right? So for that, we have a very beautiful operation set, which takes in an index and the value to be replaced with, right? So index I'm going to provide 2 because this is at the second index, C. And let's say I want the value to be Z, I'm going to provide Z in the value section. So yeah, this is how the set functionality is being used, right? Now, what if I want to remove an element, right? So the very basic syntax is remove, and let's say I want to remove A, right? So this is how you write the remove functionality. Now, what is this going to do? So let's say my array list looks something like this: A, B, A, C, right? Now, which A is this going to remove? Is it going to remove both the A's, or is it going to remove this A, or is it going to remove this A? Well, the answer to that is it's going to remove the first occurrence. Yes, the very first occurrence of A, or the value which is provided here. So it's really good to know this. Now, what if I want to say that, hey, I want to remove an element from a particular index? So let's say A, B, and then C is given, right? So I'm going to write this A properly, A and B. So A and then B and C is given. So the indices are 0, 1, and 2. So let's say I'm saying, hey, I want to remove the value 1, right? I mean, value at the index 1. So for that, we have the functionality remove, which takes in an index. In this case, I'll just provide an index 1, and this will also work absolutely fine. Now, let's say at any point of a time, you are given an array list AL, and you want to know the length of this array list. How will you be able to know? It's very simple. You simply say AL dot size. Yes, AL dot size. This is going to give you the length of the array list. What if you want to retrieve a value at a particular index in the array list? The operation for that is AL dot get I, which is nothing but the index. That's it. So this is how these are the few basic operations which you need to get started with array list. Let's quickly write it down in a program so that it kind of makes a lot of sense and all of these things are together in a pot, right? So I'm just going to quickly write here that declaring an array list, let's say books, right? Array list books. So how do I do that? I simply say array list followed by, again, the book name is going to be string, right? So string followed by, let's say, books. It's going to be new array list. And then I'm going to follow this up with a little string here and a couple of rounded brackets, right? So this is how you declare an array list here. Sweet and simple, right? Now, what if I want to say that, hey, I want to add, or let's just be program centric. So I'll say that, okay, I want to add a book. Let's say book could be a science book, right? So how would that look like? I could simply say books dot add. Probably science will absolutely do fine. Let's say I want to add one more. So that's going to be books dot add. Say book science, and let's say fiction, right? Sweet enough. So I can simply add fiction as well. So that's going to be fiction. Now, how is my array list going to look like right now? It's going to look something like this. So there will be science, and then there will be nothing but fiction. Quite simple enough, right? Now, what if I say that, hey, I want to add a book at the index 1, and the book name is, let's say, maths, right? And I'm just talking about the category of books. This is not really the book name, but this is more of like a category of books, right? So it's going to make more sense if I rename this to category, right? But okay, it's completely fine. It's for our own learning purpose. So I can say, okay, I want to add a book at the index 1. So how would I do that? I'll say books dot add. Probably firstly I'll have the index here, which is 1, and then the name of the books, in this case maths. So right now, how will the array list internally look like? It would look something like this. So we'll be having science. Notice carefully, after this we'll be having maths, and then we'll be following this with as simple as fiction. So this is how you add a book at a particular index. Very, very important. Now, what if I say that, hey, by mistake, I have added maths here at the first index. So I don't want to remove it, but let's say I want to change the name of this book, right? I want to change the name of this book. So I'm saying that, okay, change the name of the book at first index to, let's say, history, right? History. Now, how do I do this? I'll simply say books dot set. If you remember, I have explained in the whiteboard part. So at 1, I want to change the name as history, and that's going to make a lot of sense. What I'll do is I'll quickly copy this because I have to write science and fiction over and over again. So I'll paste that. Now this will look something like this. History will probably show up here, correct? So I hope this is kind of making sense right now. All of it makes sense, right? Now, what are the operations remaining? So let's say I want to remove, history, right? Or let's say I want to remove science. So how do I do that? Well, it's very, very simple and trivial. So you say books dot remove, and then you simply say science. So after this operation has been performed, the array list would look something like this. So only maths and fiction remain, right? Now, let's say I want to remove the book at the second, or let's say the first index. So if I remove the books, remove books dot remove the element at the first index, then what will this look like? This will look simply like this. So probably my fiction gets removed, maths is still there, and that's it. Notice I'm removing from first index, which means fiction, not maths. So I hope you know that the indexing starts from 0. So that's 0, 1. So here 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, and then so on, right? So I hope you get my point. Now, in this case, I am actually removing, yes, I am removing fiction because it's at the first index. So we are left with maths, and I hope so that kind of resonates with you, right? Now, what if I say that, hey, I want to access the values of the books, right? So firstly, I'll say that, okay, what's the length of this? Let's see, what's the length of this? So that's going to be denoted by books dot size, if you remember. Now, I'm just going to simply use a very basic for loop for int I is equal to 0, I is less than the length of the books, and then I plus plus. Now, in this case, I can probably say that, hey, I want to print the books value here. So in this case, let's say I want to print the book at the 0th index, right? Or all of the books. So that's going to be done with books dot get the element at the ith index, and then I'll follow this up with a little space, which kind of will format it. So let's say my books has, let's assume books has probably, let's say, science. Notice I'm assuming right now the books have maths, right? The books has maths only, but let's say I'm assuming it had science, and let's say it has maths, right? So how will this be printed? The printing will take place in this way. So I'll do a little multi-line comment, kind of makes sense. So science will be printed first, followed by a space, and then maths, right? So what if I don't have a space here? Then this would be probably this, right? So you can't differentiate between what the book is. So it's better to have a little space here. This is nothing but proper formatting for the output as well, right? So yeah, this, I hope so, this kind of answers your question to what an array list is and few of the basic operations which will help you get started with it. So if you found the explanation helpful, please make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you.